Placenta encapsulation is great for just balancing out your body. With my first birth, I did placenta encapsulation, and I'm personally a really big fan. I was back in the gym 21 days later and feeling pretty good about myself, and I definitely think that the placenta encapsulation is a key component in that.
So there's something that 1 in 3 women are doing after birth that most people have never even heard of. Can you explain exactly what that is and why you decided to do it?
With my first birth, I did placenta encapsulation, and I'm personally a really big fan. It was recommended to me by my acupuncturist. She specializes in fertility, and she's definitely a person that I trust. So with the placenta encapsulation, this is something that you want to think about well before you go into labor. I actually reached out to a person this time around because the last person who helped me with this was no longer living in the LA area, so I had to seek out a different person. So I started researching people who do placenta encapsulation back in March. Now, it's a pretty serious thing, so you don't just want to go with anyone, right? You want to do your research and make sure that it's somebody who's been doing this for a while, someone maybe a friend can recommend. This person will come to the hospital, so they have to be available for a pretty wide range of dates. So I'm giving birth in July, which is a little bit tricky because a lot of people tend to go on vacation. So I found someone who's available to pick up my placenta from the hospital, and they are going to come in, you're going to put it on ice, they are going to pick it up the same day that you deliver, and they're going to take it home, and they are going to grind this placenta into pills. And when you take it in pill form, it's just like taking any other vitamin or supplement. I would take these placenta pills, and I really believe that it was just putting a ton of nutrition back in my body. Some of the benefits that I saw were just being hormonally balanced. I know a lot of women around the 4-month mark tend to lose hair postpartum. I did not experience any postpartum hair loss. I think that from a recovery standpoint, I was definitely surprised by how intense the recovery process is postpartum, but I was back in the gym 21 days later and feeling pretty good about myself. And I definitely think that the placenta encapsulation is a key component in that. Mainly because if you think about it, this is just an organ that's been feeding your baby all of the good stuff throughout your pregnancy. So when you take that and you grind it into pill form, you're getting all of those nutrients and things that your body is basically losing. You bleed a lot after pregnancy, and your body is just going through so many things. Your estrogen drops like crazy. It's a wild ride hormonally for most women. And I think that the placenta encapsulation is great for just balancing out your body. What I've also really come to learn is that in other cultures, women prioritize healing a lot better outside of the US, right? So here it's like race to get back to work, race to get your body back, take care of the baby, do all of these things. And I personally felt that I don't have maternity leave. I'm self-employed. So I wanted to get back to work. I wanted to get my body back in shape. And so you're trying to do all of these things where if you went to Asia or Brazil or these other places where they really prioritize women's health, most women after giving birth take about 40 days to recover. And by recover, the family comes over, the support system comes over. They are there to help with household tasks and take some of the burden off of the mom's back. And they're eating warm, nourishing foods. And if you start to miss out on any of these things, I think it's just going to really delay your recovery process tremendously.
So they say 98% of people that have the placenta encapsulation do it again. Why do you think the decision to do it again is a no-brainer?
I would absolutely do it again because quite simply, I had no negative side effect. I think that I did this in conjunction with taking Chinese herbs, doing acupuncture, eating the warm, nourishing foods. I had a pretty good breast milk supply, which I think is also really important. And they link that to this placenta encapsulation. So for me, it's just a no-brainer. It was about, I think, $350 or $400. And it's just another supplement that I added to my recovery stack. So every morning, it's just part of the routine, taking those placenta pills, and the feeling that I had postpartum would be described as better than what most women have told me they've experienced, just from a hormonal perspective, and then just feeling good about myself and getting back on track to feeling like myself again, which from start to finish, really, I would say is a bare minimum of 6 months before you really start to feel like yourself postpartum.
And so in that 6 months, are you taking those placenta pills throughout the entire time?
You take them until they run out. So the way it was explained to me the first time around was that I had a really strong placenta, so it generated like a 3 to 4 month supply. I can't remember exactly how many of them I took per day. I think it was 2 to 3. You just kind of make sure your stomach can tolerate them, which mine did. And I think right around the 4-month mark was when I ran out of the pills.
At this stage in your pregnancy, did you know that your blood volume is actually 50% higher right now. Can you feel that?
I certainly feel a lot of changes. One thing that I've talked about in other videos, I have this crazy swelling and bruising on my leg from a sprain. So quite a few times in pregnancy, I've felt a little off balance. Like I was going downstairs the other day and my ankle just kind of felt like a little funny with the way I landed on the stair. And if you think about it, you have this weight concentrated here, right? And so the rest of the blood is just not flowing the same throughout your body. So I had a sprain back in March that still is not healed. It's very purple and I've done everything to try to alleviate that. I've done massage work, I take baths, I wear compression socks, and nothing that I seem to be doing is fixing it, quite honestly. So I think that that's just a side effect of pregnancy. I notice a lot more veins on my body and spider veins and things like that. So I think that your overall blood flow is for sure affected by just carrying all this weight in your uterus and things like that.
Also, at this stage in pregnancy, your baby can already hear and recognize your voice. Do you talk or sing to her currently?
I tell my 3-year-old daughter that her baby sister can hear her. So we definitely try to have some sweet conversations. I am trying to prepare my 3-year-old for becoming a big sister because I know that sometimes people experience regressions with toddlers because they are so used to being, the only one in the household, and they start to feel this sense of, like, oh, my parent is paying more attention to the baby than me. So they start doing baby things to get attention. So I'm really trying to emphasize to my toddler that she's about to step into this big sister role and she's really excited. And so we have some conversations where I tell her to kiss my belly and it's just super sweet. I don't necessarily sing to the baby, but I do try to think sometimes about music and just being in a relaxed state. And I saw this cool Instagram video about a baby that the mom used to play the Billy Joel song Vienna when the baby was in the womb. And then once the baby was born, she would play that song and the baby would instantly calm down. So maybe there's something to be said for that.
What does her movement inside at this stage feel like compared to earlier?
I started feeling kicks around 20 weeks. And I remember around 18 weeks, I wasn't feeling them yet. And I started getting a little nervous. I think that for everyone, it can really vary, but right around like 18 to 20 weeks is when you'll start feeling kicks. I tend to feel them more at night or when I'm sitting still. They say sometimes if you want to feel a kick, like you can go lay down, have a little bit of orange juice or something like that. And then that little sugar rush will get the baby kicking. So you definitely want to make sure you're always feeling something, but I tend to feel less movement. My doctor explained to me just because of the location of my placenta, it's in the front. So because of that, it's almost like a barrier where I don't feel the kicking as much, but she gives a few strong kicks right around here these days.
What does nobody tell you about the final stretch here that you only have found out yourself?
The final stretch of pregnancy was challenging for me before I had a toddler, and it's even more challenging with a toddler, which is to be expected, right? Because, normally when you can take more moments for relaxation and self-care, if you don't already have children, with the second or third pregnancy, it's obviously a lot harder to do those things for yourself. But I still try to carve out time. My daughter's in preschool. So while she's at school, I book a lot of appointments that I know really help me the first time around. So I see a pregnancy chiropractor. I've been doing some massage work to get blood flow. I think that you just definitely are going to feel the challenges no matter what from weeks 30 to 40. It's hard for someone like me physically. I love being in shape. So to look at myself and just feel big all the time has been something that I really struggle with. And I know at least this time around that I can get back to my pre-pregnancy weight because I've done it once before. So that's a relief, but it's certainly not easy when you're in the moment and just nothing fits or makes you feel really good.
Is there something you've done this pregnancy that you would never tell your doctor?
There's definitely a few things I've done this pregnancy that I wouldn't tell my doctor about. So hopefully he doesn't watch this video. I think when you're pregnant the first time around, you're definitely more cautious. And I think the second time you take a little bit more as far as pushing boundaries and limits go. I don't do anything that would be unsafe, but I think that medically there's certain guidelines that they suggest just for the broad market of women out there. And it's like a one size fits all, sort of guideline. And I think that you have to really consider certain factors like how active a person was before pregnancy. And so for me, I stay really active. I did actually see my doctor in Beverly Hills having lunch, and he was proud of me for how much walking I do. I probably average about 12,000 steps a day during pregnancy. And then that is on top of strength training or whatever workout I do. But I think that it's just something that you need to figure out for yourself. There are some women who drink soda during pregnancy, and that's something that I wouldn't do pregnant or not pregnant. It's just a matter of preference. But overall, I try to follow most of the pregnancy guidelines. I stay away from most raw fish. I've had the occasional piece of sushi here and there from high quality places. I've had a sip of red wine here and there. I'm not advocating that for anyone, but I think that's where you really need to evaluate things for yourself.
Is there a point where it just stops feeling like a pregnancy and you actually start thinking about, oh my gosh, a baby is coming?
I think when you get in the third trimester, that's when everything starts getting real. Like, we have to make a lot of decisions at this point. Like, I'm planning to travel next week, and that'll be my last airplane flight. And a lot of people are saying, well, you shouldn't fly, you shouldn't travel. And I think that this is the point where you start looking at numbers. Like, I went on ChatGPT and I asked it, what are the statistical odds of me going into labor week 31, 32, 30? Just give me the whole breakdown from 31 to week 40. And you'll see that the odds increase substantially by week 37. So is there a chance that I could go into labor today? Yeah, it could happen. I don't think that it will. And I think that when you see your doctor and they evaluate the baby's position and things like that, you can kind of get a better sense of when that labor is going to start. But ultimately, when the baby wants to be born, the baby will send your body signals and the labor will start. And that's out of most women's hands, as much as everybody thinks they can eat dates and do curb walking and all these crazy things to get labor going. It's really just about the, divine timing and when the baby's ready to come. If you are going through your pregnancy journey or thinking about getting pregnant and just have questions about my process, I did IVF. I speak very openly about my success with that, my failures with IVF. I share it all on my blog. It's inthenojo.com. I am happy to be a resource to you. Check out the blog, drop me a note, let me know what other topics I can cover, and I will have plenty more videos coming along as this pregnancy journey progresses.